Chapter 44. Dressing for the Occasion. Blue. Come on, Blue. You can do it. I don't share Master's confidence, nor his cool tone. He's much more collected than I am. I'm not sure I can. It's so big. And it is. I try to keep the whining out of my voice, but there's nothing I can do against the rising uncertainty in my chest. There's no exaggeration. This is bigger than anything I've tried to handle before. I'm squirming backwards unconsciously, but it doesn't escape Master's notice. Nope. No running away. He pulls me close against him, and I can feel the hard line of his body against mine. I did ask for this. This whole situation is my fault. I wanted this. I don't know why I'm panicking now. Master settles into the seat I was using, pulling me down into his lap to sit with him. My hands are trembling, but I know I shouldn't feel as nervous as I do. Master has prepared me thoroughly. I should be grateful. I should be excited to show him what I can do. Still, the anxiety pooling in my stomach is hard to quell. I sneak a peek downwards and try not to squirm too much on his lap. Master, are you sure about this? I can barely force my voice over a whisper. Oh, come on, Blue. You've got nothing to worry about. You're the one who wanted to show me what you could do. There's something light and teasing in his voice, but there's no threat behind it. Even still, I feel the heat rising in my face in response. He's right. I wanted this. I'm just nervous. I do, but it's too big. It's so hard. His body is an unrelenting block against me, and despite myself I can't keep from squirming in his lap as he scooches me closer to the intimidating package that started this whole mess. Are you sure? We can go slow. I'll ease you into it. It doesn't have to be as painful as you're making it. There's silence, and I allow myself to press back against my master's chest, feeling his heartbeat thrum steadily through his skin. It's different with him. He'll wait for an answer. Silence isn't yes by default. He doesn't expect me to say yes because no is always incorrect. It's an actual question. I can do this. The words are hard to force out, but more than anything, I want this. It means too much to me to be able to do this for Master. All right then, get started. His voice is a command this time. The even, heavy intonation isn't angry, isn't anything really, just a tone that expects obedience. He keeps his arm around my chest, so I remain seated on his lap. It takes only a moment of wiggling before he answers my unspoken question. I'm going to hold you so you don't try running away again. All right? He whispers in my ear, forcing an involuntary twitch out of it. Right. I'm proving myself to be a runner, so he's going to keep his arms on me until he can be sure I'll behave for him. There's no way for me to get out. The solidity of his arm around me isn't as constraining as I thought it would be. I like the way he's holding me close, the way I fit in his arms. It's all I can do to keep the nervous whimper out of my throat as I reach forward to untie the lace bindings and open the book on the table. The whimper I'd been suppressing falls right out of my mouth as I take in the small print on the page. On second thought, I breathe out in a rush. Cold fear seizes in my chest, and suddenly I'm very sure I can't breathe. Those aren't the words on the page. He prods gently, pulling me closer when neither my shaking stops nor my reading starts. Please, I can't do this. I try to ignore the crack in my voice. How did this all get so out of hand? My breath is coming too quickly, and I feel lightheaded. No, 3 pages. That was what we agreed to. Master's voice is firm and unchanged, though he does run a gentle hand down my side, drawing comforting circles into my skin. I can't back down. I want to do this, and sooner or later we are going to try to do this again. I can't make this an insurmountable challenge in my head. I can do this. I just doubt I can do it well. I bite my lip and squirm, trying to sneak a peek at the first few words, sounding them out in my head so I can at least come across as slightly less hopeless than I actually am. Blue, you've been doing amazingly with your lessons. This exercise isn't about memorization, it's about reflex. It's supposed to be hard. Just sound it out, slow, and I'll help if you really need it. He reassures me, continuing his soft, grounding strokes down my sides. The struggle isn't nearly as bad as I've built it up to be in my mind. Master doesn't get angry like I thought he would. There's not even the barest irritation at my slow progress through the lines, sounding out most of the words in pieces before Master helpfully puts the sounds I've made together in a much more cohesive word. Apparently, I've chosen an old text about agriculturalists, the fruits of the random book hunt that Master had tricked me into with finding something to challenge me. It takes longer than I'd like, with more help than I'd enjoy, but eventually 3 pages are read, and while I'm mulling over the possibility that I could have done a better job, Master is beaming. Blue, you understand that you are an incredibly fast learner? This is awesome work! You're catching up with at least a decade of knowledge at record speeds. I can hear the smile in his voice as he commends me. As much as the praise goes to my head, and it does, my cheeks feel like they've caught fire, I try to respond like I am unswayed by his praise. I just wish I was further along. I want to do justice to the time and effort you're putting into this. I'll try to do better, I promise solemnly. I've come to enjoy our lessons. The writing, on the other hand. It's been interesting trying to learn letters and sounds together with a whole new language. It's nothing like the training school. Though I try to push myself, the workbook allows me to go at my own pace. My handwriting is still shaky, as apparently writing is quite a bit different from drawing, the only other time I've actually held a pencil. But Master's been very patient with me, giving me practice sets to trace over. It's nice to have something we can do together. Master gets so caught up in his schoolwork sometimes that it's nice to have a workbook that we can do together. Well, I suppose this is my fault. Master lets out a sigh, pressing his head against my back, still holding me, but I want to turn and comfort him. He seems exhausted. I'm not sure what I can do to help. Why would it be his fault? Is he blaming himself for my failings? No, I'm just stupid. What? It's all I can do to choke out the single syllable, but it's enough for my master to continue on. Well, I'm researching all these miracles, and you're over here trying to deliver me one. He delivers a lazy smile. Master hasn't told me much about his project, but he's staying up later and later. He's normally meticulous in the way he cares for his things, but at the moment his desk is in complete disarray for the first time since I've known him. He's weeding through so many books and diagrams that make my head spin. I'm not sure I could help, even though I want to. Master, I chime softly, pulling his attention away from whatever thoughts are drawing on his mind. It's an awkward process, but I turn on his lap until we face each other, and I can sink into his arms more fully, nuzzling into his neck. It takes him a few seconds to respond, but eventually he does encircle me with his arms again. I know it's not much, but his hugs always make me feel better. We have to get ready for the party, I remind him, already dreading the shift in tone when I feel him tense under me. Do we have to go? He whines, as though he could get out of the event simply by being the child he's pretending to be. We have to, I respond less than enthusiastically, pressing my head into his shoulder as though it's become too heavy to keep up on its own anymore. I don't want to go. Not really. I'd be more than content to spend another weekend at home, curled up with Master. At the rate things have been going, I wonder if I'd be able to convince him to stay in bed a little later. There are no pressing concerns with the garden, aside from the angry mutants that Master keeps. and the more I can get him to breathe in between his work on the mystery project, the better. Still, it would be rather disastrous if we didn't at least show up. The whole grade was invited, so not making an appearance would be as good as spitting in our host's face. Plus, I still feel a little guilty that she's got a negative impression of Kara because of the things that I did.
Fine, go get dressed,
he sighs, removing his arms and allowing me to climb off of him. Do you, I start before I realize I really shouldn't be asking these sorts of questions to my master.
What?
He presses. He saw the question form on my lips, and he's not going to let it go until I talk to him. Well, I didn't see you get anything for the... I try to start before I realize how rude it comes across. Though really, what is the best way to address such a glaring issue?
Come on, Blue, don't leave me wondering,
he prods, the lazy grin so prominent on his face that I can't imagine it ever twisting into the enraged mask that I fear will come from my questioning. What are you going to wear? I settle for directness over anything else. We had picked out my clothing together when we last went to market, and while I'm appreciative that he went to such lengths for me, I didn't see him get anything for himself. He doesn't wear the same clothes as his peers, at least not often. I've been at his side almost every spare moment since the year started anyway, so I thought I would have seen the attire he chose for himself.
Oh, I have something I can throw on. No matter what, they're going to try to tear us apart out there, so...
He cuts himself off with a pained look.
Just forget I said anything. You're going to do great, and I'm going to try and make sure that nothing goes wrong. Okay?
It's all I can do to nod as I turn to climb the stairs. I hadn't realized this was weighing so heavily on him, though I guess it should have been obvious. He's always so painfully careful with me that it should be no surprise that the first time he's taking me out in public is fraught with dangers that he's determined not to clash with. I'm used to being dressed in ruffles and lace and not much else. The whole point of those costumes was to show off more than they covered. Pretty things meant to accentuate better features. The outfit that Kara had helped me find is nothing like what I'm used to. There isn't much exposed skin, for one thing. Lots of sheer fabric, sure, but not much actual exposed skin. The pants are split down the sides, held together by long ribbons that stitch the sides together. The shirt is tight and fitted, cropped short so that the soft, flowing overgarments have something to contrast with. In my experience, sheer materials tend to be scratchy, but whatever fabric this is sits cool on my skin. It doesn't pinch or scratch, and when I take a few practice twirls, it flows behind me in the picture of effortless grace. I apply the barest hints of makeup, just a dark line above my lashes, some powder, and a neutral stain for my lips. Though I'm tempted to fully utilize the honey dust, I brush just a bit over my shoulders and on my cheeks where the tint might catch the light. It isn't serving a purpose other than to be pretty, though I can't say I'd mind if it did serve its more practical purpose. Master hasn't touched me since we had our little accident almost a week ago. We still sleep together, and he's more than free with his affectionate touches, but there's been nothing more than that. I don't know what to make of that whole situation. The crux of the issue is that I want it. Or maybe I just think I do, and I'll only be bothering Master by bringing it up. Truthfully, I don't know what to do. There have been times in the past when I tricked myself into believing that I liked my masters, that it was no great trouble to serve them when they ordered. But I've never been in a situation where I wanted to go further than my master would require. Either way, the disturbing thoughts that come to me are getting harder and harder to press to the back of my mind. I barely recognize the reflection in the mirror. I certainly don't look like the broken whore that I feel like. It's been a long time since I've been dressed up this fancy. More than that, I look a lot better than I have in a long while. There are no bruises to speak of. There's a pink in my cheeks that didn't have to be painted on, and my hair is actually regaining a little of its natural shine. There's a layer of fresh lacquer on my nails after they've been clipped short. The spa that Shauna had recommended was a very nice place, making quick work of me and my master. The only issue is the hairpiece that Master had picked out for me. I can't hold the individual stems in place while I braid it into my hair. Every time I try, it just turns into a tangled mess, or I fold the pieces wrong and the dangling flower gets caught in my hair.
Blue, you all right in there?
Master's voice calls, concerned, through the door. I have to place a hand over my chest to calm my heart. I didn't hear him come up, but then again I hadn't realized how long I was taking either. Yes, you can come in. It still feels a bit odd for me to say those words, but Master will not come in until I say them. I'm not used to having a lot of privacy when I'm in any state of undress, let alone when I change. Even if it wasn't my master, I was usually somewhere where more people were coming in and out. When Master comes in, he stops by the door and stares. I have a moment to worry. Did I smudge my makeup? No, I couldn't have. I just saw it in the mirror. Am I wearing something wrong? Then, whatever was blocking Master's thoughts is cleared, and he speaks with a smile.
Blue, you look amazing.
I can't control the blush that spreads over my features. I feel the urge to duck my head and hide my smile like I'm some maiden being courted. I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know why my reaction is so absurd. I've heard it before, in more explicit terms, but something about the way he says it is different.
You having some trouble with the hairpiece?
He chuckles, moving toward me. I look down at the offending item still clutched, forgotten in my hand. Yes, I need some help with this. Please run your hand through my hair. I startle as the thought comes to mind. Whoever said that is not me. I don't have the capability to pull off such a line. Still, there's a part of me, none too small, that wants the line to work. Yes, I need... I start off pathetically, my voice wobbling and uncertain. Luckily, Master puts me out of my misery.
No problem. I've got you.
He smiles without a care in the world while I try not to die where I stand. He brushes my hair back where I've gotten it all tangled together before dividing it into even sections. At least he's playing with my hair. Some bad part inside me is immensely pleased with this fact, and I just push it down so I can focus. His hands are practiced. There's no clumsy movement, even as he maneuvers my short hair into his complicated weaving. This isn't the first time he's done this for someone. You are good at this. I stare at the mirror, watching the way my hair gets pulled up into an artful design.
Despite what Shauna says, I do actually know what to do with longer hair. It's usually just too much effort. Thank my baby sisters. They're the ones who trained me in the art of braids.
He smiles to himself, focused on letting the dangling flowers fall. Your sisters? I prod. He seems happy, but so rarely brings up his family that I feel I should take advantage of the moments where he is forthcoming.
Yeah, they were so cute when they were little, but the little devils learned how to pull their sad eyes anytime they wanted, and down went the kingdom, you know?
In my experience, children are, in fact, the best manipulators in the land. They can get just about anything they want by batting their eyes, especially the noble children who are used to it.
All done. What do you think?
Master's voice brings me out of my internal musings. The crown he's made for me is pretty impressive. All the little flowers arrange themselves in an intricate pattern as though they were really a vine twined in my hair. It's beautiful. Thank you very much for the help. I move to play with one of the dangling flowers, but stop short of actually touching it. I'm not sure how genuinely stable this style is, and I don't want to mess it up.
No problem. Now out. I still have to change.
He chuckles and moves past me to get to his closet.
The next thing I know, the door is closing behind me, and I'm just standing in the middle of the hallway like an idiot. I've been putting off this conversation all week, but I can't go into the party unprepared, or worse, with different expectations than my master. Staring at the door, I wonder how I'm even supposed to breach this topic. Suddenly, I'm very grateful for the door between us. Perhaps the physical separation will be helpful, a literal barrier between me and my mortification as I ask my stupid questions.
Master?
I say, trying desperately to focus on the grain pattern on the door rather than the rising heat in my cheeks. Yeah, Blue? He responds without pause. Stars, even without seeing him, it's hard to force the words out. I feel my throat closing up around the words. It's probably not something he wants to talk about. Maybe it'd be better if I just don't ask. If you've got a question, go for it, he calls out after my silence extends for longer than he seems to have expected.
I was just wondering if you have, any rules for the party.
I try to lay my question out in the most general, least objectionable terms.
Rules? Blue, what are you talking about?
His confusion is evident. Even though I cannot see him, I can imagine the way his nose has scrunched up at my question, eyebrows quirking into the odd shape they often resort to around me.
Well, anything on how I should behave.
I try to clarify. I don't want to make him worry. It's not my place to concern him with such trivial matters. I just want to know if he has any specific rules that I need to watch out for.
Have you ever been to a party before?
He asks, and the question takes me off guard. Have I been to a party before? Yes, countless ones. But there are different rules for different types of parties. There's a broader set of rules on how to behave in public. Rules on showing proper respect and obedience to hosts are pretty universal. The loosest of these regulations are for casual dinner parties, but even then there are some behaviors that I'd rather be cleared for before I find myself in trouble.
Yes.
Even to my own ears, the answer rings hollow as I find myself coming to regret using the door as my blockade.
Oh. Well, just act like you're used to. Just be on your best behavior, okay?
I can practically see the dismissive gesture that comes with his words.
So, I'm free to initiate contact?
I ask as loudly as I dare. For a long moment, the door does not answer.
What?
I try not to flinch when Master's voice finally does answer me, pouring all my nervousness into plowing right along into my question.
Am I allowed to kiss you in front of these people?
I don't like that my voice cracks when I say it, or the fact that I can feel my chest constricting as I wait for an answer. But at least the question has been asked.
Blue, what the hell are you talking about?
Master answers, apparently dumbfounded at the idea that this might be a pressing concern.
I want to know how you want me to behave.
The heat in my cheeks drives me to raise my voice, but immediately afterwards I'm ashamed that I've been goaded so easily into something so reprehensible.
Is that something you're usually allowed to do?
Master asks tentatively.
Yeah, it's kinda expected,
I respond, much more subdued. I don't want to make him mad before we've even left. Hell, I don't want to make him mad at all.
It's probably not something that you're gonna have to worry about,
he tries to assure me, but I can hear the uncertainty in his voice. He doesn't know what to expect. He's never been to a party with my kind before. I'm the one with experience in this sector. I'm supposed to help him.
Forgive me, Master, but
there's very few reasons to have my kind at a party.
I bite my lip and wait for a response, as even the shuffling sounds of Master's socks on the carpet are quiet. I left the statement as open-ended as possible. I'd rather not be explicit about the tastes different parties catered to, but even the more bland affairs have basic expectations. There aren't many reasons to bring a pet out and to a party, if not to show off obedience or skill, oftentimes both. I know Master has caught my meaning when he responds.
So, this type of thing has happened before?
He asks, not sounding angry or even the slightest bit irritated. Yes, I just assumed that it wouldn't likely go past kissing at this party. I press my hands together in a nervous mockery of a placating gesture. Master doesn't see me. It doesn't matter what tics I use to keep myself from letting my nervousness show in my voice. I hear him sigh for a long moment before he speaks again.
So you're saying that this is going to be a concern no matter what?
He concludes, and I can't help the way my mind takes it. Well, I immediately try to defend myself. I should have brought this up sooner, or perhaps not at all, and just have taken what I got for my misbehavior.
No, Blue, I'm glad you told me, but I would have liked a little more time to prepare. I'm going to keep you safe. Don't worry.
He says it so simply, but the words are like a balm. I thought it would be a bigger load off my chest, but it seems as though whatever's weighing on me, my mind has already accepted that Kara's going to keep me safe.
You can come in, Blue, he calls,
and I can't quite deny how excited I am to see him dressed up for the night. The first thing I notice is that Master's not dressed in the traditional robes of a mage. It's not anything like the traditional stern-cut, flowing robes that indicate proficiency and affluence afforded to the casting class. It's not a conventional suit either, though it does borrow some of the broader elements. When it all clicks together, I feel silly for ever having considered anything else. The cords over the shoulder and gleaming metallic buttons practically scream military.
What do you think?
He asks, holding his hands at his sides and widening his stance just a bit, as though my comments will do such forceful damage he has to brace for the recoil. You look good, I say quietly, not mentioning how flattering the cut of the garment is, or how glad I am that the uniform does not hide his figure away like most robes.
I know I should dress in the traditional robes or some fancy suit, but Stars, I can't stand these people.
He rolls his eyes, brushing invisible dust from the blazer. These people? They're his people. Why wouldn't he like them? I don't understand. I try to voice my confusion as unobtrusively as possible.
It takes so much to keep up a smile around these people. You get told something your entire life, and eventually you start seeing it as truth.
He pauses for a moment, as if recalling something much more pressing than the current moment, before continuing on.
Plus, I dared Shauna to wear red, so this is the deal.
What? Apparently, it's my turn to be confused.
Shauna had her awakening with fire as an element. Aside from the stigma that fire types can't be seen in anything other than orange and red, she hates the color. She's convinced it's not a good color on her.
He speaks as though he's simplifying the matter, but my head's still trying to wrap around why he'd do such a thing. Oh, I see, I say, as though his explanation has cleared up anything.
I made her a deal that I would wear this to the party if she wore red. So, if nothing else, we're gonna have a little fun tonight.
Kara smiles to himself, a dangerous little grin that I'm not sure how to interpret. Stars, what are we in for tonight?